King's Quest has been transporting players into its fantasy world for a long time now, and here we finally arrived at its 40th anniversary. Or is it 41? There's a little confusion over when the game was actually published, so let's try to clear this up as we celebrate the King's Quest franchise together. First released for the IBM PC Junior, this innovative title was spearheaded by legendary game developer Roberta Williams of Sierra Online. What I have here is a copy of King's Quest for the PC Junior. In the box is a 5¼ floppy with the 1.0 version of the game, as well as a manual that is wonderfully illustrated. This isn't exactly how I pictured King Graham, but it's a lot more true to his design and character than the fully armored knight we saw on the box cover. There, I fixed it. Sadly, my copy may be missing a few inserts, and I'll touch on that in a moment, but let's get back to that release date. Looking at the back of the box, we see a copyright of 1984. Well, there it is, clear as day. Where's the confusion? Well, this isn't exactly the very first publication of the game. It seems there's an earlier release with a 1983 copyright date. Guess that clears it up then, right? Well, yes, but actually no. Now, this date doesn't mean that the game actually saw its release in '83. The IBM PC Junior, the very system this was developed for, wasn't even released until March of 1984, so it's unlikely that King's Quest launched before the PC Junior was even ready for purchase. Rather, the game was developed in 1983 and probably had a limited publication for internal development or to show off at trade shows. It's likely that the same packaging and inserts were used for the May 1984 release, leading to the confusion. So I think it's safe to say that King's Quest has officially hit the big 4-0. Of interesting note, the boxes marked with the 1983 date came with a full keyboard overlay, unique to any other release. The version with the 1984 copyright date came with a smaller keyboard overlay. Mine sadly does not have this. However, from what I understand, there may be a third version that was released with a 1984 date that doesn't include an overlay at all. King's Quest was so successful that it spawned a number of ports and gained the subtitle Quest for the Crown. Here's the Apple II version, which included a hint book, and this beautifully embossed and illustrated booklet that fleshed out the events which led up to the game's adventure. My copy also came with this Babbage's brand floppy, full of saved game files. I love seeing the progression of all these saves. Might go into well, might jump to eagle, more likely to jump to eagle, and going into well, definitely. In this hobby of collecting PC games, it's such a treat to see people's handwritten notes or maps. I also like this reference to one of the most notorious adventure game puzzles ever crafted. If you know, you know. There was also an ambitious release on the Sega Master System that tried to bring the parser-style gameplay to the 8-bit home console. It succeeded to some degree, making it feel more like a point-and-click adventure. Certain concessions had to be made, but overall, I feel it still managed to keep the spirit of the original despite its limitations. I'd also argue it had better graphics and animation than the original, but I'm a huge Sega fanboy, so of course I would say that. There was a re-release of the original in 1990 featuring updated graphics, mouse support, and a number of musical scores. It keeps the text parser while adding more detailed variety to its responses. If it's your first time playing King's Quest and you want that classic text interface, this is probably the definitive version. But if you're into the later point-and-click style gameplay, there's a wonderful fan remake by AGD Interactive. It's obviously a labor of love, and even received a special fan license giving them permission to make the game. It was first released in 2001 with an enhanced edition released in 2009.
Greetings, Sir Graham. The King is expecting you. Allow me to escort you to His Majesty's throne room.
Thank you, Sir Knight.
Featuring new backgrounds, fully voiced dialogue, and even a no dead ends mode, so you can't get yourself into an unwinnable situation, something that other Sierra titles are infamous for. They've also done fan remakes of King's Quest II, III, and Quest for Glory 2, as well as a couple of unique titles through their own commercial adventure games company called Himalaya Studios. I should also quickly mention the 2015 reboot of the franchise, which unfolds over several chapters, true to the spirit of the original for adventurers both young and old. Lastly, I'd like to give special mention to a fan game made in celebration of this 40th anniversary. It's called Let Them Eat Cake by Russ Danner. It's a wonderful homage to the series with a few special guest appearances. The popularity of King's Quest inspired a series of 7 follow-up games. I mean, if you count Mask of Eternity. There was even a series of 3 novels that continued the adventures of the royal family. King's Quest's legacy continues on today with artists, cosplayers, and game designers still showing their love for the characters, places, and stories that Roberta showed us. Except for Cedric. Nobody likes Cedric. I like Cedric, but that's a hot take for another time.
I'll just wait for you here. I'll wait for you here, Graham. I'll wait for you out here. Watch out for the bear, Graham. Graham, watch out. A poisonous snake.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. That sequence was actually going to be a lot longer. Well, that about does it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you check back in for future videos. Also, please let me know in the comments what your favorite King's Quest memory is. I'd love to hear about your own adventures. And until next time, happy questing.